Welcome everyone, this is Pilot News and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Krister
Yoo-hoo!
and Cinders.
Hello.
Hello everyone, and let's have a look at what is in the news for LOTRO this week, where we had a little patch, update 39.1.2, which was released on Wednesday, April the 10th. And with this, they have released Tier 4 of the Depths of Bach the Corbo, and that unlocked on June 6th at 3 a.m. And I suspect that Krister has not yet done that tier.
Well, how do you know? Maybe I have, but you're right.
It was just a guess. So let's look at what changes they had with the raid. First of all, crocodiles now correctly tail swipe players standing behind them.
Yes, they do.
Boo.
That was a wonderful discovery yesterday when Hey, why'd you die? Hey, what's going on with that tail? No, somebody mentioned that change, and that's exactly what we saw last night. Was the crocodiles were tougher.
All right. Lightning strike in Belendor's encounter damage has been increased by about 60%. Sturdy tentacle morale reduced by about 50%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Slapping sweeping tentacle health reduced by about 10%. Thunderous roar is no longer dependent on players having pets actively summoned in the encounter space. Lesser crushing tentacles should no longer spawn below tier 4. Lesser crushing tentacle health has been reduced dramatically. Lesser crushing tentacles can no longer spawn on player pets. Greater crushing tentacles should no longer be able to attack players since they are busy crushing boats. Modified the deed list for the tiered Machta Corbo deeds to call out the bosses and in the correct order. Fixed an issue with where Belondor and his crew could potentially become locked out of entering combat. Crushing
yeah. We encountered that one time, and that was incredibly irritating. However, to SSG's credit, it wasn't a full stop for us. We were able to actually move past that moment and complete the raid. So thankfully we had that problem, but it was we recovered from it. So
okay, good. Crushing tentacles that wrap boats in the space between a head down phase will now submerge with the head and reemerge with the head. This prevents the launching of derelict boats at Umshuru's head during the head down phase. There was an issue in the Machta Corpo raid where Azagoth might fail to engage if his crew was engaged. This has been fixed. Azagoth's crew now call out specific players to target slightly less frequently. Salax's battle weary effect now clearly states that it restores morale when Salax is struck. Frigid Squall now deals some damage to players. Does this look anything like the Frigid Squall that appears in skirmishes?
Well, that's the problem. I'm not really, I can't really recall a Frigid Squall type of encounter, but everything was moving so fast. Maybe that's different tiers too. There might be.
Oh, okay. That might be a tier 2 or 3 thing then. And Corsair Shades now have adaptation on tiers 3 through 5. As for Dahal Hulis, the arena, Rothog's low-cut arrow volleys are now smaller and shorter than Shidal's. Reduced hammer down and rupture damage significantly. Reduced pulling blood initial damage. Shadow burst damage reduced by 25%. Shadow burst is now distributed hit with a small radius. and Word of Frost has had its damage reduced slightly, but it now has 10% mitigation penetration. As for Bjornings, Trample debuff should now be refreshable without waiting for it first to expire. And with Umbari Armor of the Razor Claw equipped, Call to Wild no longer suggests that it restores morale. For Brawlers, the Umbari Armor of the Iron Fist Sinister Cross bonus effect no longer stacks with itself if Sinister Cross is used repeatedly without using a finisher skill. For Burglars, the Mischievous Glee healing tracery should now correctly improve the healing from Mischievous Glee. For Captains, several Captain skill effects have been incorrectly stacking with similar effects from other classes that are meant to be mutually exclusive.
No. I repeat that right away. All other classes have made mistakes of trying to overwrite the captain. But the captain isn't conflicting. Everyone else is conflicting with the captain. Let's just get that clear.
Because the captain was first, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
These have been cleaned up and should no longer stack as expected. And this includes Telling Mark and Mark Foes, as well as Oathbreaker Shame, which was able to stack with Breaking of Thorngrim and Murderer Crows.
What's wrong with that?
Well, they've been telling us for quite a long time that they're not supposed to stack.
Okay, fine. But we've seen in movies the Death Star can blow up a planet with one shot. Why can't I stack those?
You got to remember, it takes...
Is my logic flawed on that?
Right. And just note, it took so long to power up the Death Star that the rebels had an opportunity to blow it up while they were getting charged.
Yeah, well, that must have been wonderful to discover those issues, by the way. Hey, these stack. We're doing this forever.
Yes. For the champion, Thousand Blade Cleave now correctly reduces cooldowns of Rend and Born for combat while active. And Punishing Blow procs now have a 7-second interval cooldown to prevent moments where you can get a proc that fully elapses while Punishing Blow is on cooldown. For Lore Master, Deep Graspers can no longer knock back enemies. In the Elder Slave mission, Hunting the Hunters, War Corpse's quest items now last longer before they despawn. The following crafting recipe scrolls have had their names corrected. Expertly Carved Performer's Instrument Recipe, Expertly Carved Sailor's Instrument Recipe, Expertly Woven Umbari Standards Recipe, and Expertly Made Umbari Signals Recipes. And as for Delphing's Epic Tempest, Delphing Storms now spawn every 2 minutes and last 60 seconds instead of spawning every 45 seconds and lasting for 90 seconds. Well, that's quite a change. And as for the Forester event, removing the territory call spamming that the event is going to begin in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, come on, Pine Leaf. You know you enjoyed it. I can tell secretly the way you said that.
And the size of the last gate of the Forester Gate is smaller to force players through the tighter window and ensure that they complete the event. And that is it for the release notes for update 39.1.2.
Hooray! That wasn't too bad.
All right. Now, there will be another update next week because they are going to be unleashing the 17th anniversary event. 17 years. Whee!
Wonder what we're going to get.
Well, there is a clue that they gave. First of all, they say that this year's fireworks are going to be spiral fireworks.
Spiral, good. Shanty, no. No shanty-based fireworks.
Okay, so, and I think you'll be getting that one, right, Krister?
A spiral? Of course. If I can get something where I can go, hey, look what I can do. Hey, can you do that? No. Oh, can you do that? No.
Right. All right. And as for the cosmetic pet that's going to be available at the vendors this year, it'll be hamsters,
Oh no, you've arrived.
giant hamsters.
Giant ones? Okay.
Yeah, giant hamsters.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yes.
Can
And
hobbits
one of the
ride them?
yes. And no,
Ah.
but one of them does have fireworks on it.
Ooh.
An explosive hamster.
An explosive hamster. Yes.
At least the hamster doesn't explode. It's just the fireworks, right?
Just the fireworks. Yes.
Walking along, and next thing you know, your pet is just a bunch of ash floating around you. It'd be terrible.
Well, the other problem is that I don't think Lord of the Rings is really thinking about the interaction between badgers and picnic tables. You all know about that, right? I mean, you know that National Park Service almost completely ceased its existence because of badgers attacking people having a picnic. It happened around in the 1930s, sometime, in Canada.
In Canada.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know because it was in Canada. It was in this place in Canada.
Uh-huh.
I love the badgers. That's going to be awesome. But I agree. We need a writable. You would think that would be a perfect creature suited for trampling.
Then also another item that you can get for the cosmetic housing item is your very own Green Dragon bar and keg.
Whoa! You mean like a full on wet bar?
Yeah.
Could the sinister keg be mounted there?
Well, that I don't know. Anyway, well, I have a feeling that it's not going to be having a supply of infinite drinks or anything like that. But it will be you will have the bar for the Green Dragon as a potential item that you can have in your house, just in case you wanted your own bar. And they also noted that even though usually Casual Stroll is on the third Wednesday of each month, this month is going to be on the fourth Wednesday because what they're going to do is on April 24th, Scenario is going to take us through a preview on Update 40. So we'll get to have our first little look at what they're planning to add to the game then. Where I think they might be going a little bit underground or something like this, under the city of Umbar, but we'll have to see what they're really going to be doing when they have the release of it. Now, if you remember a few months back, we had a look at what they're planning to do. And I figure that now, since the first quarter is over, that let's have a look at how successful they were in reaching their marks. So this is what they had planned for the winter months, for first quarter of 2024. And that's, first of all, 2 3-player instances, which they delivered with the Isle of Storms and the Streets instance. 1 6-player instance, which was, of course, the Arena. A raid, which Krister has been talking about on completing a few times already on this show. So,
right.
So that's been out for a little while. And the epic continued into Chapter A, which I finished Chapter 8 on one of my characters. So yes, that did happen. They added delvings to the Elder Slade missions, which I have heard they are up and running already. And they added something new to delvings called Epic Malices. So it looks like they've actually hit all their marks, but of course, we all know that the first quarter is the one that they have the most fully fleshed out when they put this thing out. So it's probably no surprise that they hit their marks for the winter one, because I think last year they had no trouble hitting the ones for the first quarter. It's when things starting into third or fourth quarter where things sometimes get a little dicey on whether or not they can do it, because okay, we thought we could do this, but So let's see what they're planning for the spring, what they have down for spring. The first thing they have down here is the Spring Festival, which, well, they've already had the Spring Festival. So obviously they've already hit that one and we haven't even started. Just starting on this section here. And then on the have the 17th anniversary, which starts next week. So barring any major troubles, we should have that without any trouble. Then they say the Epic continues, which is going to be update 40, which right now I think that's probably going to be sometime in May. So probably about a month, maybe a couple of weeks after that. So we'll see how that goes along. But the Epic is going to continue with update 40. And then they have the content pack, the Catacombs of Umbar, which is what I was referring to earlier when I said I believe that the next update is going to be under the city. So Catacombs of Umbar, that does sound like it's going to be something under the city. I was wondering what gave me the idea that was going to be the case. And it says it right here for what's coming up for second quarter. So it looks like they're probably going to reach those. It's probably when we start reading out what's going to be in the summer months later on. Maybe in a few months, we'll go over what's planned for the summer and see how close they are reaching on those. And any questions on that before we continue?
No, I was just amused by thinking about the description, your description, if that was their yearly routine, where the first quarter we have these very detailed maps and details about what everything is going on, and
Right.
then as each quarter progresses, it gets more and more vague to the fourth quarter, where it's just like, Aragorn has some pickles, and that's about as much guidance as we have.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. For example, I mean, they're still planning for the summer to have the fourth profession in the summertime, and the new hobby.
we at this point know what the hobby is?
Well,
There's been some hints, haven't there? But there's
yeah,
not
there've been
really.
hints, and the hint was giving a whistle that sounded like a bit like a bird call.
Oh, that sounds like it either has something to do with bees or making wagons. To me, it might sound like
Wagons? How? Do you
well,
make that
when my
jump?
random thought generator is active, I can't guarantee what's going to be pulled out of it at all. Fine, so.
Apparently not.
But it would be surprising if they started to introduce wagons. In fact, I could make a case that they should introduce wagons because I can't envision how people are carrying all these picnic tables around. Do you drag them behind you? What's going on? You have a shed, you know? So a wagon might be a perfect solution to it.
Well, that would be a new vehicle rather than a new hobby, though.
Well, okay, you've got a great point, and so I have no further comment.
Yeah. Now, of course, they don't currently support vehicles, but that's an entirely different matter.
They should. What's the first shot of the movies? Gandalf riding in a wagon. Bam. We need
Right.
wagons.
Okay, you do have a point there.
We need war wagons.
War wagons.
Ooh,
Well,
I
are we
think
going
those are
what?
called chariots, though.
Yeah, you mean like the Wayne Riders from the east, the ones who came in and tried to invade Gondor soon after the plague and all?
Exactly. So what? Their intentions were bad. I mean, look at these. The vehicles were probably awesome. It's like, okay, they invaded us, but that wagon's pretty nice. Let's take that wagon.
Well, let's see. Yes, I believe though that if you go to the waste, you see actually wagon ghosts.
That's cool.
Yeah, because they had the ghosts of the Wayne Riders in there, and that some of them are on their wagons. It's like don't tell me how you have ghostly wagons, but
Well, if I could summon an Oathbreaker with a cart, that would just be awesome.
oh boy, oh that's right. Look at all the stuff that they're asking for. We're expecting in the summer a hobby, a fourth profession, further adventures, Elf Avatar updates, Monster Play updates, class updates. Of course, class updates are ubiquitous in any case, and then the VIP updates, whatever that is. Well, we'll see. Right now, though, that's further up ahead, right? I think right now we're looking forward to see what's coming in spring, and I think they're going to hit those. It's when you get in the summer where I think things are going to get a little bit of dicey. So let's then head into our store sales. And Cinders, what's on sale this week?
On sale this week. Go ever on and get 25% off selected XP boosts, enhanced XP supply, 100% market acquisition boosts through April 18th. And the weekly coupon is for a free universal ingredient pack times 10 with the coupon code UNIPACK, UNIPACK, also through April 18th.
All right, thank you. So let's then head on to our new player question. And what's our question this week?
Our question this week is, do you collect anything? And if so, what? And do you have any advice and tips on how best to keep a collection of in-game items?
Oh boy. Well, of course, the main thing there, of course, is inventory space. Do you have the inventory space to realize the luxury of your collection?
That's always the challenge.
So this is the solution that I have been told for that, which is alts.
Right. Right.
Uh,
We know that somebody that you know has roughly 7% of the population of Middle Earth.
right.
So yeah, when you have that many people, just imagine that would be so. That's like almost like your own Amazon. You just ship boxes out to everybody.
So
Just hold on to this for a week.
I know of at least 4 people that I can think of right now, I'm including myself in those 4. So 3 additional people who have designated alts specifically for storing cosmetics or crafting items or whatever it is. They have designated storage alts so that they can actually keep collecting things.
Yeah,
So,
the way that you said that too made me think about how rough it is. Even though we do have plenty of space in our cosmetic inventories, you'll still run out of space.
oh yeah.
And then the question is, do you keep these things now? Because you could just drop them into your cosmetic inventory and get rid of them at that point. But do you hold on to that stuff or not? If you like the cosmetics collections, I think the funniest collection now that that made me think about it is our friend Finn the Lore Master, who has obsessively been running that turtle run over and over, where you fight the big giant turtle.
Uh-huh.
And I can't remember for the life of me that instance now. But he's been
The one
collecting
in
those.
Moria?
Yes, yep, yeah. So ever since that came out, he's been collecting the turtle heads, and I
Oh.
think he might have an alt that has the majority of its inventory dedicated to those turtle heads.
Okay.
Oh, you mean he goes to the taxidermist whenever one of those heads drops so that he could actually have it? Because I know today
Well,
I finally got around to converting some of those taxidermy items that I've been having, like Valrock's sword, the turtle head, and things like that, and finally converted those into actual housing items.
Well, that's why I feel like Finn's at some point he's going to be opening up a housing development, and then
Yeah.
it'll all make sense what he's been doing.
Yeah, right.
So that reminds me of some of my more random collections that I've done with Emerlina. So at one point I was collecting the little fish that you catch all the time. Just to see how many I could get in a stack. And so I think I spent about a year collecting all of those.
Oh my god!
Just to see how high it stacked. They stacked to, I think, 99. Or right to 100, something like that. Yeah, and then it starts a new stack, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, okay. The little fish that you always get, you mean things
Yeah.
like minnows or goldfish, or
They weren't the goldfish. What were they? Oh, they might have been the goldfish. Yeah, I just had a whole collection of them. Just because I wanted to know how high they would stack because I was bored one day. So I did that for like a whole year. But yes, I do collect things. But then you also have for like your pets and stuff. I like the collections for the pets and the steeds and stuff because you can click on it and then it just like goes out of your inventory, but you can still resummon it later because it goes to like its own separate spot. It doesn't take up bag space. So, if you have practical collections like that, then it's not as big of an issue. But if you have collections like I've been started collecting shields for M, because I want her to be able to have different shields for her different outfits, even though the shields can't be dyed Shire Plum.
Was that a specific exclusion that SSG put in? The
No.
shield can be dyed any color except Shire.
No, you can't dye the shields. I just think that was an oversight because I would paint them if it were up to me.
When you play Minecraft, do you put banners on your shield so that you would always have a
I have done
good-looking
that
shield?
before. I have not gotten that far in the last 2 Minecraft worlds we've had. But I did
Okay.
in the first one. It was
Okay.
pink. And then I hung
Alright.
pink flags everywhere.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise.
But yeah, dedicated alts for storing your stuff. So, and I do save most of the cosmetics afterwards, just because I like having them available because I have a tendency to pull stuff off on accident and I don't want to lose it for forever. So, I have a dedicated alt, and an alt. It's also the alt that I send out to do different festivals and stuff. If I'm not trying to get like specific things for M, I'll send Megalus out. And he's the one who does all of that. And then he stores it all in his vault instead of my vault.
Clever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about, and I can't recall now, because I'm not in the game right now, is there's no generic carry-all, right? All the carry-alls are specifically for carrying something now, aren't they?
Yes, they're all
Yes.
for specific things. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's both awesome, and then of course the curse is not the curse, but I guess it's just that you don't have a general carry-all. But that was another way that you can manage your collections potentially, depending on what you're collecting too.
Housing items can be managed that way. But I don't know that any of the
Yeah.
others can.
Well, I mean, like some people probably collect things like musical instruments. So
Oh, yeah. So
there is a
those could be
carry-all for
as
those.
well. Yeah.
I mean, if you collect large numbers of dice, there is a die carry-all. If you,
Yeah, and of course the cosmetic system
True.
came out. It wasn't part of the original game. The cosmetics came later, and then once the cosmetic system, LOTRO still, in my opinion, still has the best cosmetic system that I've come across. I really like how easy it is and how you put something in there. It's available for all characters at that point. But that was a later introduction. So I agree with you totally, Cinders, when you're talking about the shields, because I don't even think they were thinking about that with the cosmetics that you could, well, what can I dye my sword? Can I dye my shield? I don't even think they were pondering that when it came out with the system.
no, yeah, dying. Well, I think dice came relatively early on, even before the cosmetic system. That you
Yes,
could
they
dye
did.
your regular equipment. I believe that was available for a long time. I don't remember how long dice have been around in this system. So you've been around forever. I don't. Were they part
Yeah,
of the original
dice.
game?
Yeah, dice were around a long time before the cosmetic system.
Yeah.
It was just you had to keep, if you really liked an outfit, you had to keep it on you, So
Right.
like real life. I guess if I do like my outfits, I actually have to keep them on my. I can't just put them in my mind and throw them away.
Right.
Mary Rose says, "My name is Mary Rose. I am a cosmetic and dye hoarder."
I think I've been to that same meeting, Mary Rose. So yeah, that's where I have my problems. It's I'm the Thulsa Doom of cosmetics. It's like, what motivates you? Does steel? No. Power? No. Money? No. Cosmetics? Yeah, I really like those shoes. That's why I'm going to invade that country. It's sad. I don't, I never had, I had Star Wars figures. I didn't have the Barbie dolls. My sister had the Barbies. I had the Star Wars. And what was great about it was no matter how big the Barbie dolls were in comparison to the Star Wars figures were always armed. So they always had the upper hand, But I was never into cosmetics at all in terms of any other games or any other endeavors I did. But LOTRO started me on Oh boy, I got to look at that. And then, of course, when you get the compliment you're looking for on that, like, oh man, they should make that the default night look. It's like, that's right, they should make that the default night look. That's how good I am. But yeah, the collection stuff. I think it's what's funny is to see the curiosity that people. I mean, I can't get over the fact that Finn decided to collect the turtle heads, and it was like, why? There's no point. Yeah, I know. I'm just
Oh,
doing it.
okay. So the other thing that I was just thinking of is like the Warsteed cosmetics too, though. Like I remember Sans wanting one of those orc head things with the orc heads on them for her Warsteed.
Right.
The pole that had the orc heads on them.
Yep.
And like she was like, I need that. I have one head and two heads, but now I need the third. I was just like, that is
Really?
disgusting.
Well, I think it's so funny. The process is when, like, for instance, your shields, like you're saying, your shields cannot be changed. So those shields became my Kohler faucet. It was like, I'm going to build an entire outfit around the shield. In fact, the one shield I did do that around was there's a shield that it's blue with like a horse, like a white horse in it, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and a gold trim, and I built a whole outfit directly around that shield. So that's kind of fun, though. That is actually kind of fun when you get a piece that's inspiring to you, and then you can build something around it that looks really nice.
Yeah, I made Em a whole outfit where she looks like a little bear cub because when we were running with girls one time, we were given a bear shield, and so the shield has the bear's face on it in gold, and so then Sans helped me get the hunter's head, the bear head, and then we found a little brown outfit for her to wear, and so she runs around and she looks like a little bear cub.
Why haven't you been putting that on when the next time you run with Runt? Because Runt's always dressed up like a bear, so that'd
Oh,
be hysterical to see the two bears together.
it would be.
Hey, boo
Ooh,
boo.
I wonder if I could dye it pink. Because otherwise,
There
you
are
guys will
no
get
pink.
confused.
There's no pink bears. If there's a pink bear, the pink bear was dyed. There's no natural pink bears out there. Well, I guess they're pink if you take your fur off. Maybe they are pink. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm not an expert on it.
I have absolutely no idea what color you would have if you shaved a bear.
Polar bears are black.
Okay.
Polar bears have black skin.
Okay.
So that kind of supports my theory, unless, of course, brown or black bears have pink skin. So
I don't know. Actually, I do know. You can Google it. I see pictures of it. I think it is pink. As I'm thinking about that.
you think everything's pink?
It depends on the bear. So apparently, sun bears look black.
I mean, will it depend on how much UV radiation they tend to encounter, or what?
Probably. I don't know. And probably if they're a baby or an adult bear.
Okay.
Well, as we explore this burning topic.
Yeah. Anyway, as for what I collect, I'm trying to think, is there anything that I tend to collect other than
Aesthetics.
skirmish titles
Yeah.
or of course in on one server where I've collected skirmish marks to an excessive level. I say, okay, what am I going to do with all the skirmish marks? I don't know. At least they don't take up inventory space. Could you imagine if I tried buying something with all those skirmish marks and
filling up your inventory? Yep.
and filling up my inventory? Yikes!
So, black bears are kind of a gray color.
How about Bjornings?
I am not planning to find out. That just seems like an invasion of their privacy.
Oh, but it's okay to invade the privacy of regular bears.
I'm not
Well,
doing it. Somebody else did it, and I was looking at a picture of a bear that had brain surgery.
Oh, Gratz? Is that a Gratz? Or...
Yeah, National Geographic reported on it.
okay. I think with that we should head into our weekend gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
Last night, we had a. Of course, I always have to keep things spicy with my inability to do things. So of course, I was having some problems figuring out the event stuff with this one issue. I finally figured it out where I was trying to set the time zone for the raid, but what it was doing is I was setting it for 9 my time, and it was clicking over to 12 a.m. So the date was always off, and I couldn't. I initially couldn't figure it out. I was like, "Is this program stupid?" Because I just said 4/8, but now it's listing 4/9. What is going on? So I finally figured that. So it was just a bunch of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Usually, unless I directly communicate this for entertainment purposes, usually I'm doing this stuff by myself. So I'm not embarrassing myself with my multiple failures. I just figure it out. Unfortunately, this was very public, and
Okay. And it looks like one time that you were using that for some reason you used. Did they ask for a European order or U.S. order? Because there was one time it looked like where you did it in the wrong order,
that's
and
the problem. And I should have known. That's what ticks me off. Pine Leaf is I deal with Europe all the time in my work.
yeah,
I know without a doubt that the date time, it's the month and date are flipped between America and Europe.
right.
And I should have figured that out right away. But if this is the same thing with my dad. My dad left his brain at work is basically what happened. So there's a general reduction in your capabilities, and so that's how I feel. That's my excuse at least. My brain's at work. I didn't know what I was doing. So we finally got. In fact, Finn is going to give me a final once over with the event stuff tonight. So that shouldn't happen anymore. However, the event itself, after all the disorganization and whatnot, was great. In fact, I think we probably experienced. It was a very smooth run. We had they had a change in the second boss. So the second boss is where you're working through that circular room with the gates, and you have to defeat several waves of mobs, and then you get to I think that's Bellador. Is you get to Bellador and his group. You have to separate them and then do the fight there. Well, what happened is what's interesting is one of the changes they made is now it used to be when you go in that room you had to go through these side gates, and in the initial room when it activates the main gate opens up, so you've got this big gigantic area now to fight in, and it was great. But what was happening was we were in the first wave was fine, and I think what happened is we kept triggering the second and third waves at the same time because the third wave was so close to the second wave now that it felt like it was almost inevitable. So we had I think we had 2 wipes there, and then we got through that. And then after that, everything was smooth sailing. The end was smooth. But what we definitely noticed the crocodiles. Crocodiles were a lot tougher. But now that you explained all of the changes they made to the tentacles, the timing, that's probably why when we got to the last boss, everything felt very, very smooth. You still got to work. But what's great about this one is it's not Dragok, but it's kind of in between the raid and Dragok in that you have to have some expertise, complexity, and competence. You're going to have to do fellowship maneuvers. You're going to have to be on task with your fellowship maneuvers. You don't have to do specific ones, but you still have to activate the fellowship maneuvers to make sure everybody hits them. And that's what's great is the group ploy, just with all of our rating and everything, even though fellowship maneuvers have gone away in importance, hopefully making a comeback is what we're seeing, is that we had all done them for so long that if we see that come up, people are typically hitting it anyways when the fellowship maneuver comes up. So it was at the end of it, it was nice, smooth run. And so now this is where we get a little bit nervous too, because anytime we get even a modicum of confidence running these, then the next run is going to be some disaster where Sauron shows up halfway through. I'm not dead. It's something like that. So my fear is, and not my fear, but what I'm looking forward to is that we are going to eventually roll it to T2, and T2 should be a much different experience, I'm thinking. So Kind of excited to see what that was. So, but last night was great. Had a great run. Everybody knew what they were doing. I love that feeling when just everybody knows their jobs. I love that moment there. Other than that, I've been having a building itch, so I've been playing some Minecraft and Starship ESO. Starship, Starship EVO. Uh,
It's actually yes,
and
oh boy.
and for some reason, I watched some special on the biggest cruise ships in the world. So I was trying to create like a big space cruise ship. I guess I'll have to show you guys that. But and then this week was kind of rough. I have some stomach issues, classic stomach issues, kind of came back and slapped me around a little bit. But I'm feeling better now, which is good. And then, of course, the Fallout series came out. So in tribute to that, I reloaded Fallout 4 and have been playing that for a little bit too. So that was my week. Cinders, what were you up to?
Well, my personal laptop crashed after an update, so I have been borrowing Sans's gear, and also had a very stressful week. So I was very low key. I played Stardew Valley. I made it to summer year 1, and I'm starting to get the hang of fishing. And I started a new world on Dawn of Man. But other than that, I have been pretty much off gaming. So, Pine Leaf, how was your week?
All right, I'll begin with my warden who ran the Isle of Storms, and I was amazed how I was able to get through it because I'm so used to being clobbered whenever I go through there, except for my lore master. Everyone else tend to get clobbered. I think whenever I tried my warden in the testing period, I just couldn't really get through it. But this time, I did manage to get through all bosses. I did have one of the pools of the storms where you're going towards the third boss who knocked me back to the defeat circle or whatever is the equivalent in an instance. So I did that, so I did have to do some backtracking on that. But other than that, I managed to get through it, got through all 3 bosses on the first try there, despite some close calls there. So I'd say that was a successful run of the Isle of Storms, which was a bit of a surprise for me. Then for Friday Night Fights, we had 3 for the upper groups. We ran Stonehide, where I found out that my main warden on Landrival, had never done Stonehide, and I still had the quest for in their absence to do for that area. So I was doing Stonehide with the in their absence quest in there and advancing that. So I guess I'm ready to do the Lost Temple at some point so that I could maybe continue the story of in their absence on there. But how many years have I been at the stage of needing to do Stonehide for that and just never noticed it? No idea there. Then after that, we ran the Doom of Karis Galebrin and managed to get through there. And I think the 2 people that I was going with, they were not yet familiar with the 3-player version of that. So I sort of introduced them to the 3-player version of Doom of Karis Galebrin, where things can get, well, let's say a bit hectic every once in a while. Of course, that's always true with Doom. And then my lore master headed into Dunlin to help the Stag Clan. So I do that, and I spent today trying to get prepped up for a party. And that's it for my week in Lotro. We have one email this week, and it came from RB. And RB provided us our question from today. And Cinders, what else does RB say?
Hiya, folks. Enjoy the podcast, so thanks for doing it. My question is about collecting items. I came from a game where you could collect items to your heart's content, but you can't do that in Lotro due to space issues. So, do you collect anything, and if so, what? And do you have any advice and tips on how best to keep a collection? For instance, I like to keep shields, swords, and armor pieces, but I have already run out of space even after I have maxed the vault space. Help! Take care, all, and
Well,
have fun.
yeah, and that was the perfect answer was alts for those collections.
Yep.
It really is. It's get a shield alt, a sword alt, an armor alt out there, and but I mean with the armor and shields, you can store those cosmetically. I mean, you do have the cosmetics option with that, but yeah, I totally feel the pain. It's so funny. The funniest thing was when they got those carryalls out, and it was like, oh god, I'm going to organize, ding, 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 and then I freed up an entire bag of inventory on my character, not in shared storage, and I was like, I don't think this is. I feel like it's been like 10 years since I've actually had a full
Wait,
full bag, and that lasted for about 5 minutes because then I started up.
wait. Do you keep your bags separated into like 6 different ones?
Of course I do. I don't like to wear one big bag. I want bags all over the place. I want 2 bags in the front of my pants. I want 2 bags in the back of my pants. I want a bag on my shirt. I want maybe a bag on my back.
That is so funny.
Why do you combine them all into one big bag?
Uh-huh. That way I can see everything at
Yeah.
once every time I open it.
So the
Yeah,
big guy has a bunch of little bags, and the little one has a giant bag.
Yes, and the giant bag has little bags inside it because I
Yeah.
have all of the carryalls.
Yeah, you got to remember is that Krister started back when they didn't have the option to combine bags.
Yeah, I guess it's just not natural for me to combine them because I combined bags. I just never even thought about combining it all
Yeah.
into one.
I
One
think it's because
bag.
I had used a plug-in to combine my bags well before LOTRO supported combining bags.
Yeah, that's hysterical. I never even thought about it.
Well,
Honestly,
I
it's
just
like, oh yeah, I guess I could just combine them all into one bag,
so
but this doesn't feel right. We're
I
a
started out
multi-bag
with this.
society, Cinders. We're a
Sorry.
multi-bag society.
No, I started out with the 6, and I kept telling Sans, I was like, "Oh, this is driving me crazy. I get 6 little bags popping up," and she goes, "Oh, you just do this," and I was like, "Oh, I can see it all at once."
Yeah, in fact, that's the first thing I do when I enter a new character into the new world is I open up my inventory, I combine all the bags, then resort all of the stuff that you get because when I start a character, half my inventory is taken up by all the gifts that you
Yes.
get.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're ever having inventory problems, the last thing you want to type, what is that? Recover, or what is the command that you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
slash recover, yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, slash
yes.
recover because anything that's cosmetic, anything that is cosmetic and therefore not super powerful or anything like that is going to be regenerated if you say slash recover.
Oh, it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about losing all your cosmetics because even if you don't have on 20 of your other alts, slash recover just will get the whole thing dumped in your inventory.
Right, but then you have to worry about all the cosmetics that are returning now. So
Yes.
Yes.
it's like one of those scenes in the cartoons where you see the shadow appearing around the person, and they're like, "What the?" And then they look up.
And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it descends. Yes. The solution is alts, just to recap.
The solution
And this is how you
alt.
become an altaholic, as Sans calls it.
Uh-huh. I've never tried using alts to handle my
But
inventory issue.
Finally, if you have to have a bunch of shell corporations in operation, you definitely need alts to run them. So I would recommend setting up your network now.
but also keep in mind that LOTRO does have a limit on the number of alts that you can have on any one account, as Sans has discovered.
Yeah, we have a very angry person that we know that
Yes.
has run into that limit.
She's run into it a couple of times.
Now, I did have a space challenge today because I was. Oh, that's right. Because I told you earlier how I had gone to the taxidermist and generated all the housing items from the taxidermy inventory. So therefore, I had about eight things that I got from the taxidermist. Now, I did. Now, while I sell the fish trophies that I get from there, since I
He
gained
sells the duplicates.
yeah, definitely right. So I've got all those features. So I tend to do, but all these things like Tharloff's sword. I am not going to sell Tharlock's sword because. But when's the next time I'm going to be doing the raid the rift rate in order to get that. So probably not too often. I'm not I'm not selling those things, and I decided. So I thought, okay, let's put them into my shared vault. And of course, I had fewer spaces left in my shared vault than I had items in there. I said, okay, now, this doesn't look like a good time for me to buy a housing item carry-all. So instead of that, I looked at, was there anything else I could organize in it? And I found, oh yes, for some reason I had all of my dies separately out in my shared storage area, despite the fact that I also had a die carry-all in the shared storage in there. So I just put all my dies into the carry-all, and then I suddenly had more space left to collect
Yeah, but
more of
for
my
how
housing
long?
items. I don't know how long that's sort of the tricky thing in there, is like, how long is that going to last? I have absolutely no idea, but I hope I'll have another solution by then. Maybe housing carry-alls will go on sale or something like that between now and then. Or maybe I could do something really crazy and like start putting them in my house.
You could do that too, but then it might ruin the aesthetic.
Well, right now, my Gondor house isn't exactly known for its great aesthetic. So,
Hey,
Boy,
it could be minimalist.
if we could convince Finn to get a longhouse and put up all of his turtle heads, hundreds and hundreds of turtle, that'd probably be a very disturbing place to go into. They all are staring at me.
Call it Turtle
yeah,
Lodge.
Turtle Lodge. What happened at Turtle Lodge? No one knows.
What
And we
happens
don't
at
want to
Turtle
find
Lodge
out.
stays at Turtle
Stays at
Lodge.
Yikes.
Turtle Lodge. Yes. If you would like to send us an email and get us talking in weird tangents, then you can send it to podcast@lotrplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows each week. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record Lotra Players News and re-record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can source for our shows at lotrplayers.com/live. And that's it for tonight then. This is Piling Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.